and then you just need to click the
That's great.
That's
okay, are we all set?
I'm going to drop me out. I'm going to
okay.
you in, and it's all over to you. Have fun.
Okay, great. Right, so I'm so privileged to be in with all these other great speakers, especially the ones that have just come before me, because it's all very linked, it seems. I am looking at today mainly the well-being in the primary school. As some of the others have said, I'm not an expert in well-being, but over the last 2 years, I've been doing the lead role for well-being at school, just trying to promote it. The reason I took it on was because we're doing the Mental Health Award with Leeds Beckett, and I've also took on a master's in leading school health and well-being in school. And it's been absolutely a fantastic journey just to promote well-being in the primary school. So I'm definitely no expert in counseling or anything like that. I'm an early years teacher, but I absolutely love promoting the well-being in primary school. So this is kind of what we've been doing and what we're working towards, but we're definitely on a journey. So our journey so far, the first year, which is going back 2 years ago, our first aim was to get a buy-in from the staff. So we really wanted staff to be 100% engaged in what we were trying to do. So with the Mental Health Award, it gave us criteria to work towards. And so it gave us lots of ideas on what it might look like at school to fully promote well-being in school. We looked at the 5 ways to well-being, which if you're not familiar, it's down on the PowerPoint there: to connect, to keep learning, to take notice, to give, and to be active. And we tried to focus on those aspects in school. And as Kirsty mentioned before with her presentation, it was really a case of we were already doing a lot of these things, but it was just a case of enhancing them and promoting them a little bit further. So initially what we decided to do was think about how we can take these 5 ways to well-being and work them in. We decided to focus on PE and being more active because there's so many research links into how being physically active helps your well-being. We looked at giving. We were already a charitable school that did lots and lots of charitable things. We raised money for charities. We did food bank and harvest and things like that. And connecting. And as far as connecting went, we tried to grow our pastoral groups and really connect with each other. And so those were kind of the 3 things that we focused on mainly in that first year. But we just enhanced what we were already doing and tried to introduce new things as well. The PE was a really big focus. We did a lot of new clubs, a lot of visitors in, a lot of going out, festivals, and in the process of focusing on PE to improve our well-being, we ended up getting the School Games Award as well alongside it. So it was an added benefit for that. So year 2, we did a lot more staff training. There's a free ACEs early trauma course that we did. We also got 4 staff trained for the mental health first aid, and another 2 additionally trained. We started doing surveys for pupils and staff. We started creating areas around the school that promoted the well-being. So, for example, we had a spare room, so we created a well-being room, and our nurture club started taking place in there, and there could be meetings in there and different things. Art therapy could be done in there and different things like that to promote it. We started looking at staff well-being as well, and we tried to really focus on what would really have the biggest impact on staff well-being. So not what some might call tokenistic gestures. We really, really focused on what are we going to do that's going to really make things better for the job. So we streamlined planning, we streamlined assessment. We really focused on, looking after each other, looking after ourselves. The other thing that came out of that was people started doing treats for each other and promoting just helping to people to feel valued. So at the bottom, you can see the you've been mugged, and we started sending a mug around with treats in it. And it just said that, you know, you've been noticed doing some good things, or you've been valued, that sort of thing. And so you would just, if you received the mug, you would take the treats out and then refill it and give it to someone else. And it was just really quite nice. But the more people started to do, the more contagious it was. And then the next thing you know, people were just leaving little things on desks for people. We had someone who brought in Valentine treats for everybody. And it just became a really, really nice thing to do, in addition to all the other things we were doing. We also started to focus more on mental health and wellbeing awareness days. But as Kirsty said, the awareness days really are a starting point, and really this kind of promoting mental health and well-being really needs to be embedded every single day. And as Rich said, the kindness needs to be there every single day, just not on set days. So we started doing, we did all the awareness days. We put displays through all of the quarters on well-being and gratitude and different things that help your well-being. And that's when we started doing the Wellbeing Wednesday, which is where Teachers Pet comes in. Is they do they started doing a Wellbeing Wednesday, where it was kind of a 5-minute or 10-minute activity every single Wednesday. All of the classes started doing, and it was just some aspect of well-being that we would focus on, that the teacher could pick and choose different activities and things. But the Teacher's Pet did a really good set of activities and things that you could use. And so they were ready-made, ready to go. They didn't cause any more work, if you like. So we also started doing whole school assemblies linked to resilience and self-belief. For the resilience one, I used a story called After the Fall, which is about Humpty Dumpty and what happened after he fell off the wall, which I can wholeheartedly recommend. A lot of the picture books I'm going to be talking about today really are suitable for all ages. The year sixes absolutely loved them, even though they were probably designed for younger children, but all ages love the picture books. So whole school assemblies I talked about, we just really focused on our trust virtues, but also linked them to mental health and well-being. And then the last thing, the most recent thing that I did was a whole school assembly for well-being ambassadors. I got the idea from another school that had done it. And basically, I'll go to the next page. I used a video from Anna Freud, which is talking about mental health. So it just gives a basic information for children about mental health and how we feel and how our emotions, how we feel. Sometimes they don't last very long. We're sad for a while, we're happy for a while, with this or that, but then sometimes we feel these things for longer. So it did explain a little bit about mental health. So what we did was I did a whole school assembly. We watched the video, we talked about the video, and then I asked for ambassadors to apply. And I had hoped for about 10 ambassadors, and it was almost like a school council where you get representatives from each class. And what I really wanted was I wanted a few representatives from each class so that they could, when we did wellbeing days or we were promoting something, that they could kind of go back to their classes. So I asked for the ambassadors to apply for it. And I basically just said, draw a picture or share something about how you think you could help people with their well-being. And I was overwhelmed because I probably received 50 or 60 applications from the children in the school, and we're a small or normal size school of 200. So I was over the moon. I couldn't choose, and I appointed them all, which I just couldn't resist. They just were all so sensitive and caring in their applications, and how they really shared how, you know, they shared about their own well-being, they shared about how they could help others. And it blew me away. I absolutely loved it. And I just appointed them all because I couldn't possibly decide. And sadly, that was right before we had to lock down. And so we only had a few meetings, but it was just really kind of the highlight of my year last year, was just chatting and getting to know these ambassadors. We decided for the ambassadors, we decided to follow on from the 5 ways to well-being. And we chatted as a group and just shared ideas on how those 5 ways to well-being might look in school. And one thing the children pointed out was for the keep learning aspect. They said the early years always got the chicks, hatching from the eggs. They always got, the younger children always got the caterpillars and the butterflies. And they said they'd really, really like it if one year they got it in their classroom to observe. And I thought, well, fair point, great idea. And certainly that's something we'll look at. Another idea they had was just all about so people don't feel lonely. They seem to have that on their mind a lot about people feeling lonely. But definitely the Wellbeing Ambassadors was definitely a key highlight of my year last year. Right, so September return. So everyone's been talking about September return. Obviously, it's imminent now. And I think the main point I would recommend is relationships, which most people already recognize, is that relationships are key. Developing those relationships with the children, developing the relationships with the families as best we can under some difficult circumstances. It's all about being a community when we can't. I don't know how, other people are planning on going back, but we're definitely staying in our bubbles initially and just sticking with our bubbles. So we need to think of some ways to carry on being a community. I think I saw someone on Twitter was doing Star of the Week videos from their classrooms. I thought, what a great idea. Also for September return, in addition to being relationships and community, is thinking about how we can promote our mental health, maybe through mindfulness tips, maybe just talking, constant discussion, offering those opportunities for discussion, being different, talking about feeling different, having good days, not so good days, all those kinds of things. Another resource I would recommend is on the side of the presentation there, the Big Life Journal. They do a control circle. And we did a lot of this when lockdown was coming and when things were happening, is just talking to the children about things they can control, what's within their control and what's not in their control. And sometimes well-being is all about perspective and how we look at things. And like the quote says at the top there, we can't control everything that happens, but we can change our experience of those things. So really, that's where those relationships come in and that community comes in. And so I think all of those things we'll be looking at come September. So as many of my Twitter friends is, they love picture books. And sadly, this might hit people's bank accounts again. But what I decided to do is create a mini curriculum until we get embedded with our new PSHE curriculum and what we're doing this year. We'd like to use picture books for all ages. So obviously, through the school. And as I said, that after the fall, that Humpty Dumpty, the year sixes loved it. But here's a selection of a range of picture books that could be used to open up those discussions of mental health and well-being. So what I decided to do was find picture books that I thought were different themes with regards to mental health and well-being, and to just develop a mini curriculum around it. Now, obviously, time is always precious. And so what I tried to do was find a story, find a theme, and then go to these teacher resource sites and just pick out a number of activities that could possibly be used to support these. And the activities could be used if you were doing your Wellbeing Wednesday and read the story, perhaps the activity could be used then, or maybe it could be used in a free moment, that sort of thing. So these are some of the stories I would definitely recommend, and then I've put some together with the ideas around them. So for example, the Odd Dog Out book is a gorgeous, colorful picture book about one dog who's different from the rest. So everyone's the same, exactly the same. This one dog's different and feels uncomfortable about being different. So it's really good for those children who are maybe worrying about being different or feel different, and how being different, it ends up isn't always a bad thing. And then what I've done is I've just gone to a range of websites and just found little activities that can be done, in free time or as and when for the children to do to support it and to bring back the fact that actually being different's okay, that sort of thing. So you've got your Elmer, who's famous, obviously for being different. And then the little monster there, it says, can you think of 2 things that you are proud of that you can do? How does this make you feel? And so again, I just went to different websites, Teacher's Pet, Twinkle, and even the book publishers' websites, because sometimes they have activities that you can do that link to the book that you're using that week. Here's another one. The color monsters are all over the place at the minute. They seem to be really popular. And I've pinched from off Twitter, I got these cards, which I popped the link for, just as an opportunity to, further develop the book. Again, Twinkle's got your mood monsters there. You've got how do you feel? What I love most about the color monsters is associating the colors to the feelings, but also the vocabulary of the books. It's really a chance to really explore how we're feeling and kind of putting a name to kind of how we're feeling. So that's a really good one I like. And I love the little cards. And I know lots of people have done displays and arty, crafty activities and things. Another one, Ruby's Worry, Don't Feed the Worry Bug. And I've also got, hopefully you can see, Worrysaurus here, another good book about worry. We need to think about these children coming back, and some of them might be worried. Now, for anyone who returned to work in June, July, now my bubbles were absolutely fine, and the children were very matter of fact about the bubbles, and they were very matter of fact of the virus and life before the virus and life after the virus. And I work with 4 and 5-year-olds, so they were okay, but there will be some children who are not okay. And I think that's just a case of where these stories can really help open up those discussions on when we are feeling a bit worried. So this, again, Teacher's Pet does these worry monsters. And I've also got a little worry monster, hopefully you can see it, from the works, where you can actually put worries into his mouth and get rid of your worries, sort of thing. But the Teacher's Pet, because they did the Wellbeing Wednesday, and then they have these monsters that go with it, it was just something really accessible for the children to really identify with, and I quite like that. So we'll all have worry boxes or worry monster in class next year, and just see how that works and go with that. But I think to me, it's all about these relationships and having these discussions. Another book that could be used is Pilar's Worries. Now, although it's a worry book, this story is really more about growth mindset and about changing your perspective and how you can keep on growing. And again, there's lots of different ideas on things that you can use, as part of that. And again, it's just trying to work it in on a daily basis or work it in on a weekly basis at least, just to give those children that chance to talk, to discuss, to start looking at stigma, how we don't have to, just because we're feeling sad or we're having difficulties with our mental health and well-being, that doesn't mean that we should be singled out, that sort of thing. It's everybody has mental health and everybody needs to have good well-being. And so then I'm on to the dot. For those of you who haven't read the dot, it's about valuing everybody's contribution, about valuing children. It's a story about a little girl who's afraid to make her mark, and the teacher tries to encourage her. There is an International Dot Day, which is this picture here that you can see. That's September 15th. And as a school, we decided to do is a week of the dot, which links so well to mental health and well-being, and it links so well to being creative and art and DT and all those things. And I'm really happy we're doing this, because a lot of schools are all talking about catching up and how important literacy and maths is, and you're hearing about schools that aren't having their breaks anymore. You're hearing about a 15-minute lunch and that's it. And so to really focus on well-being, to focus on having a creative week, to focus on doing all these things for the children and having all these discussions, rather than it being all about maths and English, it just kind of warms my heart in that respect. So I'm super excited about what's to come. I'm super anxious about what's to come as well, obviously the unknown, but we are going to do our best, as we always do, to try to just build these relationships and build these opportunities for well-being. The last page, now obviously there's going to be a Padlet of all the presentations and things, but I've done one as well, just on this presentation and all the things that I've shared with you today. All the different, there's books on how you can take notice for the 5 ways of well-being. There's back to school resources. There are other organizations that are all promoting mental health and well-being. And what I've tried to do on the side is also, because budgets are so tight, is to put all the sorts of things that you can get for free to support mental health and well-being. So the Big Life Journal, which is originally American, but I think they've brought a UK version over, they give you a free printable every Friday. If you have access to Kindle Unlimited, you can get a lot of these stories for free. Anna Freud has free videos. There's free packs here. There's also free courses. Future Learning is doing free well-being courses, and also some mental health courses. There's the free ACEs course for the adverse childhood experiences, free kindness curriculum. And then there's more books available for resilience, being shy, taking notice, compassion, being sad, and returning to school. Now, I've forgotten to set my timer, so I don't know.